Henry Park Prelim Paper 2025, Paper 2. Question 1. How many factors are there in 36? So we'll list down the factors of 36. One times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. So for questions involving factors, just make sure you get all the factors, okay? Now, how many factors are there? Please do not double count the 6. 6 is just the same number, right? 6 and 6. So you count it as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, don't count the 6 twice. So there are 9 factors. Write down the first common multiple of 4 and 10. So if you were to list down multiples of 4, then multiples of 10, you realize that the first multiple that is the same would be 20. Question 2, table shows the time taken by 4 swimmers to complete the race. The time taken by Bala to complete the race is not shown, which is this question mark here. Average time taken by the 4 swimmers was 48.7 seconds. What was the time taken by Bala to complete the race? So if you're given the average of 4 swimmers, you can find the total. So you take the average, then you times 4. This will give us 194.8. Then you just minus all the other 3 and you'll get Bala's time. 194.8 minus 50.78 minus 48.12 and 46.9. You can use the calculator and calculate this out. You should get 49. Okay, 49 seconds. Question 3. Figure is made up of a square and 3/4 circle. 3/4 circle with the center O has a diameter of 8 cm. What is the area of the figure? Okay, so if you're given diameter, the radius would be 4. Okay, so this is 4. This is a square, so all the sides are the same, of 4 cm. You want to find area. Area is pi times radius for the full circle. So if you want 3/4 of the circle only, you take 3/4 times 3.14 times radius. This is 37.68. Then we need the area of the square, which is 4 times 4. Then now you add them up. 53.68. Question 4. Jack wanted to create a figure using white squares and gray squares with PQ as the line of symmetry. He still had more squares to add. Measure and write down the length of PQ. Okay, I can't do that here, but on the actual paper, because if it's like scanned and photocopied, it might be off lah, but the actual length is supposed to be 6.4 cm. Okay, the length of PQ. Okay, then for B, what's the smallest number of white squares and gray squares Jack needs to add so that PQ remains as the line of symmetry. Okay, so from this diagram, how many white squares and gray squares he needs to add for this to be symmetrical? So if we look at the squares here, okay, we start from the top, we go along this line here. So this one is okay, this part here is okay, but next to it there's this square here. So there is like a square that you need to add to match this one. Then this is shaded, so you need to shade this to match. This matches, Then last one here, there is another square. Okay, then as we go along here, there's one shaded. So there's another shaded one here. Then last one is okay. So how many white squares should you be adding? These are to the two white squares, then two gray squares as shaded. Question 5. A, B, C, and F, E, H are triangles. CFGD is a trapezium. So for trapezium means you have one pair of parallel lines. CFGD. So okay, I'm not sure if this is originally marked, but you should have a pair of parallel lines here. And then you have all the straight lines. Okay, find the sum. We're finding the sum of X, Y, and Z. So you don't necessarily have to find them separately. Okay, but which one can we find first though? So the easiest to find is angle Y. Okay, angle Y, because you can use interior angles. The sum of the angles between the two parallel lines adds up to 180. So angle Y would be 180 minus 81, which is 99. Okay, 99. Next, if I want, okay, now for X and Z, if you want to find X, you need to know this angle here, right? If you want to find Z, you need to know this angle here. So this angle here, okay, is the same as this angle here. Because you have vertically opposite angle. So this angle here is the same as this angle here. Right? Okay. So what we know about these two, the red and the blue one, right, is that they are both 180 degrees. Okay, so 180 degrees is this one plus this one. Then I have two triangles. Two triangles, each triangle is 180 degrees. So 180 plus 180 equals to 360. Okay, 180 times 2. 360, right? These two triangles will be 360. So what do I need to take away in order to have X and Z left? So I'll take away 23, I'll take away 88, and I take away the red and the blue. The red and the blue has a sum of 180. So we'll take 360. Sorry, this is for angle X and Z together. So 360 minus 23 minus 88 and then minus 180. $69, then now add it on to angle Y to find the sum of everything, the three angles. 168 degrees. Question 6. Table shows the number of boys and girls and teachers in schools A and B. So you have some information missing. What is the total number of boys in both schools? The total number of people in both schools is 4642. So if I were to take 4, 6, 4, 2, I minus these two, I'll get the total boys. Okay, so 4, 6, 4, 2 minus the total teachers minus the total girls. I'll get the total boys. For B, the number of girls in A is two-thirds the number of girls in B. So find the total number of students in school A. Okay, so let's fill up. I'll just write the numbers in first. So if two-thirds of the girls in, girls in A is two-thirds of the girls in B. So girls in A is 2 units. Girls in B is 3 units. So if I were to write the ratio, so the girls in school A to school B girls, 2 to 3. And the total number of girls is 2460. So 5 units equals to 2460. I'm interested in A, the girls in A, because I want the total number of students in A, right? So for A is 2 units. So we find 1 unit, then 2 units. Two, 4, 6, 0 divided by 5 is 492. 492 times 2, 984. So this is 984. I'm just missing the teachers so that I can get a total. Oh, sorry, no, I don't need the teachers. I want a total number of students. So just add the boys and girls. 845 and 984. 1829. Question 7. For every mobile phone that Susan sells, she earns a sum of money as shown. So for the first $160 of the selling price, she gets to earn 10%. Okay, and then for the remaining selling price, she gets to earn 12%. So she sold a mobile phone and earned $76.90. What is the selling price of the mobile phone? So that's $76.90 is what she earned. That's not the price of the mobile phone. Okay, that's just like a certain proportion of the mobile phone. So this amount that she earned here has two parts. Okay, first one is the 10% of 160. And the other one is the 12% of the remaining, which we don't know how much is it. Okay, I can find 10% of 160. So let's find 10% of 160, which is $16. Okay, but she earned a total of $76.90. So the remaining amount that she earned will be $76.90 minus 16. So this is $60.90. Okay, $60.90 is what she earned, which is 12% of the remaining. So 12% of the remaining is $60.90. Find 1% of the remaining. Then after that, you find 100%, like the original amount. 10% of the not the original full, but the original remaining. Okay, so 60, 90 divide 12, which is okay. Right, let's since this is you get a 3 decimal place number, then 100%, so times 100. 100, so this is 507.5. Okay, so the original selling price, right, is this 160, the first portion, right? And then your remainder, which is this one. So 160 plus 507.5. $667.50. Question 8 is a speed question, so skip. Question 9, algebra. At a shop, erasers were sold in packets of 3 and pens were sold in packets of 5. Bella paid with a $50 note for 9 erasers and 20 pens. How much change did Bella receive? Give your answer in terms of Q. Okay, erasers were sold in packets of 3. So every 3 erasers, it costs Q dollars. She wants to buy 9 erasers. So to find 9, here we times 3. Okay, so 3Q. How about pens? Every packet of 5, okay, 5 pens costs 2Q. We want 20 pens. So here we times 4. This one times 4, you get 8Q. So the total spent would be 3Q plus 8Q, which is 11Q. Then how much change? So the change will be what she gave, so a $50 note, then minus what she needs to pay, which is 11Q. Okay, so answer is 50 minus 11Q in brackets, then dollar sign. Question 10. Julie's coin box contained 20 cents and 50-cent coins. In the coin box, there were 7 more 50-cent coins than the 20-cent coins. Total amount in the money in the coin box was $18.90. So how many coins were there in the coin box? Okay, so for this question, this involves quantity and value. Quantity means the number of coins. Value means the dollar value of the coins. Okay, so firstly, quantity, number of coins. What do we know about the number of coins? We know that there's actually 7 more 50-cent coins than 20-cent coins. Okay, so in terms of quantity, 50-cent coins versus 20-cent coins, there is this extra 7. So what we need to do is to remove the extra 7 50-cent coins. Okay, so let's find the cost of that. So 7 times 50 cents. $3.50 is what we want to take away. Okay, the total right now is $18.90. The new total is 1890 minus 350. Now I have 1540 as a new total. With this new total, what can we say about the quantity? I've already taken away the 7 extra 50-cent coins. So we can say that the quantity between the two coins will be the same. And if you have equal number, you can do grouping where you have one of each in a group. Okay, one 50-cent coin and one 20-cent coin. This is one group. There are many, many groups, but the new total is 1540. And next we find total in one group, which is 50 cents plus 20 cents. In one group, I have 70 cents, so number of groups would be 1540 divided by 70 cents. Oops. Which will give us 22 groups. How many coins were there in the box? Now, if you look at this, in every group, there are 2 coins. Not 70, but 2 coins. So 22 times 2, 44. And don't forget, we actually took away 7 50-cent coins away earlier, right? So add it back. So answer 51. Add back. Add. For part B, how much money does Julie have left in the coin box after spending all her 20-cent coins on food? So, the total amount of money in the coin box at first was 1890. So if she spent all her 20-cent coins, how many 20-cent coins are there? 22 groups of 1. So 22 20-cent coins. If she spent all of that, means she would have spent $4.40. How much money left? She had 1890 at first. So 1890 minus what she spent, which is 440. So answer 1450. Question 11. Adam cut a rope into 3 pieces. The first piece was 4.5 meters longer than 1/4 of the original length of the rope. Second piece, 3.3 meters longer than 3/5 of the remaining rope after the first cut. So the third piece was 8.7 meters. What was the original length of the rope? Okay, so firstly, we have 4.5 meters longer than 1/4 of the original length. And then you have this 3/5, which is talking about the remainder. So we'll deal with that later. Let's look at 1/4 of the original length. Original length, then you have 1/4. How long was the first piece? It's not 1/4 meters. Sorry, it's not 1/4 of the rope, but 4.5 meters longer. So it's a little bit more than 1 unit. Okay, this is for the first piece. Then for the second piece is 3.3 meters longer than 3/5 of the remainder of the remaining rope. So because I cannot get 5 units here nicely, I will redraw. Then I'll cut it into 5. And the second piece is a little bit more than, sorry, shouldn't be there. A little bit more than 3 units. So 3 units, and then this part here is 3.3 meters. Okay, this is for the second piece. Third piece, 8.7. So this is 8.7. So the first thing we should find is this part here. So that is 3.3 plus 8.7. Okay, that's 12. And 12 is 2 units. So 12 divided by 2, then times 5. And that is actually your remainder as well. Okay, times 5, first 5 units. You get 30. So when you move up, this part here is 30. 30 plus 4.5 to get 3 units of the first model. So 34.5 is your 3 units. So you divide it by 3. 11.5. You want the original length, so 11.5 times 4. The answer 46. Question 12. Mrs. Brown bought 2/5 as many cupcakes as pies for a party. She spent 3/4 as much on each cupcake as each pie. Each cupcake cost $4.50. She paid $504 more on the pies than the cupcakes. Okay, so firstly, she bought 2/5 as many cupcakes as pies. So that will give us the proportion of the number of items. She spent 3/4 as much on each cupcake as each pie. That's the value of each item. So if I know the cupcake costs $4.50, I can find the value of each pie. Okay, which is for part A. How much did she pay for each pie? So I'm just looking for one pie. So for part A, the information that you should be looking at is this one and this. Okay, not the rest. We're just looking at one pie. So the value, meaning each item, cupcake to pie. So 3 to 4. Each cupcake is $4.50. So there are 3 units is $4.50. One unit, $4.50, divide by 3, which is $1.50. Then one pie is 4 units. So times 4 equals $6. Okay, so answer $6. For part B, how many pies did she buy? Okay, this time you need to bring in the other information given in the question. So firstly, 2/5 is talking about quantity. Then we also have the value now, the exact value of each item. Then they said that she paid $504 more on the pies than the cupcakes. Okay, so we can use this quantity value table. Quantity value. So in terms of quantity, right, she bought 2/5 as many cupcakes as pie. So 2 is for cupcakes and 5 for pies. Value means the value of each item. Your cupcakes, each cupcake costs $4.50. Each pie is $6. Now we'll find total value, which means if we have two cupcakes, that will be 2 times 4.50. Okay, $9. So 2 times 4.50. Then for your pies, if you have 5 pies, it's 5 times $6. So in one group, what do we need to find? 504 is the difference between the total value for the pies and the cupcakes. So I will find the difference between the total value as well. So in one group, I don't add, I find the difference. Okay, since the question gave us difference, I'm only interested in the difference. That is $21. In one group, my difference is $21. But if we compare everything, the difference is supposed to be $504. So how many groups are there? So number of groups, 504 divided by 21. This will give us 24 groups. How many pies did she buy? In every group, there are 5 pies. So if there are 24 groups, there's 24 times 5. Okay, so 120 pies. The tin. There were some apples and oranges in a box. In the morning, when 24 apples were added, ratio of apples to oranges was 6 to 5. Then 35 oranges were removed and the ratio became 4 to 1. Okay, so there were some apples and oranges. We don't know how many at first, but we know that in the morning, 24 were added. So apples plus 24. Then the ratio became 6 to 5. Okay, then oranges, 35 were removed. And the ratio became 4 to 1. Now, what's the common base between these two ratios? From here to here, the apples didn't change. Okay, so 6 and 4, common multiple is 12. So times 2 to get 12. Then here times 3 to get 12. So if you compare here 10 and 3, right, 35 is actually 7 units. So 1 unit is 5. We're finding apples at first. Okay, so find 12 units first. So 5 times 12, 60. There are 60 apples here. This is after adding 24. So the original would be 60 minus 24. Okay, so answer 36. Okay, then in the afternoon, more apples and oranges were added. And the apples increased by 65%, and the number of oranges increased by 120%. Find the total number of apples and oranges added in the afternoon. Okay, so firstly, since I already know 1 unit, I can find how many apples there are here, how many oranges there are here. Okay, for apples, 12 units, I already know it's 60. But for oranges, 3 units. Okay, let's find 3 units. 5 times 3, 15. Okay, and the apples increased by 65%. So the number of apples added would be 65% of this 12 units, which is 60. This is 39. Then the oranges added. Oranges increased by 120%. So 120%, 120 over 100, times the number of oranges, which is 15. Then you get 18. Find the total number of apples and oranges added. So you add them up, 39 and 18. Okay, then you get 57. Question 14. So you have tab A, tab B, rectangular tank X, and cubical tank Y. And both were empty. So at 8:20, turn on tab A. Then water flow in at a rate of 4.8 liters per minute. Okay, let's write it down. Then flow for 5 minutes. Then after that, tab B was turned on. Okay, 8:35, both were turned off. X was half filled with water. Tank Y was 25% filled. Find the length of tank Y. Y is a cubical tank. Okay, cubical tank. All right, what we do know first is that tab A flowed for how many minutes? Okay, so 8:20, right? Then it flowed for 5 minutes first, and then it continue flowing until 8:35. So effectively, from 8:20 to 8:35 is 15 minutes. So for 15 minutes, water has been flowing out from tab A. Okay, let's find out what's the volume that flowed out from tab A in 15 minutes first. Okay, so A, 15 minutes, which is 15 times 4.8 liters. So 72 liters. Let's change this to cubic cm. Okay, you got that volume of water in, you're supposed to have that volume of water in X if you didn't turn on tab B. But because you turn on tab B, right, after 15 minutes, tank X was only half filled. So we find what is tank X when it's half filled, okay, the volume in the end, which is definitely going to be less than 72 liters. Okay, so half of tank X is 30 times 20 times 60 times half. So X in the end would be half 30, 20, 60, 18,000 cubic cm. So if A were to be turned on for 15 minutes, there would be 72,000 cubic cm here. But because you turn on tab B, right, there would be 18,000 cubic cm here. So how much flowed into tank Y? It would be the difference between these two. Okay, so the volume in tank Y, the volume in tank Y would be 72,000 minus 18,000, 54,000. And they said that tank Y was 25% filled. So you can actually find the capacity of tank Y. So 25% of Y is 54,000. Then 100% of Y, which is your full capacity, right? This one is times 4. So 54,000 times 4, 216,000. That is the volume of tank Y. You want to find the length, you have to cube root. Okay, first length times breadth times height. So this is 60. And you can only do this because it's a cubical tank. So if you didn't read the question, didn't realize that no, this is actually a cube, then you wouldn't be able to find the answer because you wouldn't know it's cube root. Okay, so read the question. Okay, question 15. A florist sowed roses from Monday to Sunday. Line graph shows the number of roses left unsold. Unsold, so that's why the numbers are going down. Okay, so before we do the questions, let's write down how many roses are there left unsold. So initially it's 1200. Then for Monday, so every interval from 0 to 200, there are 5 intervals. Every interval is 40. Okay, 200 divided by 5 is 40. So you have to count by 40. On Monday is 1000 minus 40, 960. Tuesday 880. Wednesday 600. Thursday 480. Friday 440. Saturday 320. And Sunday 160. So which day that had the florist sold half of the total for the week? Your total for the week is 1,200. So half of that means the florist would have sold 600, right? Which also means 600 left. So unsold, it should be 600. This is on Wednesday. So by Wednesday, it would have already sold half of the total. Which 2 days did the florist sell the same number? To find what the florist sold, you need to find the difference between what's left. Okay, so from the start to Monday, the difference is 140. Okay, like you take the first minus the second. Then for this is 80. Then 100, 280, 120, 40, 120, 160, 120, 120. So which 2 days did they sell? So this 120, do we take Wednesday or Thursday? Now these are the amounts left unsold at the end of each day. So this is very important. This is at the end of each day. So this 120 is sold, and then this is at the end of Thursday. Okay, end of Thursday, end of Wednesday, end of Thursday, between end of Wednesday and end of Thursday, this 120 is actually sold on Thursday itself. Okay, so which 2 days is it? Thursday and Saturday. The usual price of a stock of rose was $9. On Saturday, after selling 52 stocks, the remaining was sold at a discount of 25%. What was the total amount collected on Saturday? So take note, we are only looking at Saturday, for which 120 roses were sold. Okay, so after Saturday, this 120 out of 120, right? 52 was being sold first. So 52 will be at the full price of $9. Then the remaining will be at the discounted price. So what is the discounted price? Discount of 25% means we are looking at 75% of $9 for each stock. This is $6.75. Okay, so we have 120 minus 52 for your remaining. This is 68. Okay, so we have 68 at discounted, and we have 52 at full price. So 459 and 468, add them together. $927. Okay, so answer $927. Question 16. A trapezium ABCD is drawn the square grid. So using the line DW, you're supposed to draw an isosceles triangle DWX such that angle DWX is less than 90, DW equals to WX. Okay, so DW equals to WX. DW is one of the equal sides. Angle DWX is less than 90. Okay, so I'll use another color to show my working. 90 degrees would be DWX. So let's say if I'm going upwards, where is 90? This is cutting across 8 squares. Can you see 8 squares here? Or down to right 4. Okay, down to right 4. So 90 degrees would be right 2 up 4. So right 2 up 4 here. This is 90. Okay, this is 90. So your x should be less than 90 degrees. Okay, it should be less than 90. You shouldn't have an angle of this much. So how do you do equal lengths. So make sure the line cuts through 8 squares. So the 8 squares could be like that. Instead of cutting this way, this one. See, there are 8 squares here, right? So as long as you cut through 8 squares, right, the length of the side will be the same. So here, like that. And this is your X. And this will be equal. Okay, you just need the lines in red. Then you connect this. So you have D, W, X less than 90, and you also have these two equal sides. WX can also be on this side here. Okay, so this one also cut through 8 squares. So you can also draw it this way. Then you connect. Now for part B, using point E is here. Draw a parallelogram EFGH such that it has the same perimeter as ABCD. Point H is southeast of E, while F is east of E. Okay, this is a bit out of syllabus. You don't need to know the compass direction. Okay, but anyway, I'll still go through this. H is southeast of E. North, south. This is west. This is east. Same perimeter. So for perimeter, right, if you look at this diagonal, you have to split it into two. Because your parallelogram, you have two diagonals. Okay, the rest are all straight lines. So the straight lines are easy to draw. It's the diagonals. You have two pairs of diagonals. You have to break this into half. So each part will be like two, cut across two squares. I mean, two diagonal of each square. Same perimeter. Okay, point H, E, F, G, H. So H is next to E. H is southeast of E. Southeast is this direction. So southeast, you're going to go this direction. So remember, we cut it into half, right? So each diagonal is only two parts. This lah. Okay, good. So you cut this into half. Okay, so this is E, H. H is southeast. H is southeast of E. Okay, H is southeast of E. Now F is east of E. So east to the right, to the right. For the straight lines, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 here. That gives us 10 straight lines. And one diagonal. So E, F, G, H. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Use your ruler. So it has to slant this way, not the other way. But then again, this part is not really in the syllabus now. Okay, question 16. Oh, sorry, still 16, but part C. LMNO, this is a square. So for a square, just make sure you label the equal sides. Okay, then you got isosceles triangle. Isosceles, so this one also equal. ON equals OP. You have 103 degrees. You're supposed to find OPL, which is the angle as marked over here. Okay, so firstly, this is a square. We just cut a square diagonally. You cut the right angle into half. So angle LNO would be 45 degrees. Okay, which gives us ONP. ONP, which is 103 minus 45, 58 degrees. Then if you want to find PON here, this is isosceles. So in the isosceles triangle, you got the base angle 58 already. Okay, so 58 here, 58 here. So PON equals to 180 minus 58 minus 58. 64 degrees. So this is 64 degrees. Take note, we're finding this. So you have a right angle here. LON is right angle. So LOP is 90 plus 64. 154. So if you had labeled all your equal sides, right, you realize that LOP, triangle LOP is also isosceles. So with an isosceles triangle, you can find OPL. 180 minus LOP, which is 154, then divide by 2. Okay, so angle OPL is 180 minus 154 divide by 2. So answer 18 degrees. 18, sorry, no, 13 degrees. Okay, last question, which is a hard one. It's a hard patterns question. First four figures are shown. You have a table here showing white circles, gray circles. For part A, you need to fill up this. If you were to draw the next figure, figure 5, you are going to increase the number of the gray circles. Okay, gray circles. So you will add, you can draw if you want to confirm the number of circles. Okay, so this is one more here. 1, 2. So what we notice is that this is 2. Sorry, this is 1. 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines. Then there should be 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One. Okay. 5 on top, 5 below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then from here, 1. There should be 1 here. Okay, so this is 3 circles and then 4 circles. So here, from here to here, you should have 5 circles. Okay, then same for this part here. There should be 5 like that. Okay, so try to observe the pattern. The top here, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 circles. And then the side here, 3, 4, 5 circles. Then below is basically the same thing. Okay, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we're adding 17. Just 27. Okay, then how many white and gray circles are there altogether in figure 28? So this is asking for the total. Let's try and see if there's a pattern for total. So you add the white and gray. This is 6, this is 15. Then this is 28. This is 45. Okay, look at these numbers. If you try to add them, this is plus 5, plus 9, plus 13. Don't really have a common difference between the numbers. So what we do is this 1 is 1 times 1. 6 is 2 times 3. 15 is 3 times 5. This question is difficult because the pattern is actually quite hard to observe. And this is actually 4 times 7. Okay, so if you notice, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Then 1, 3, 5, 7. They're all odd numbers. This is, or you can say 2 is 2 plus 1. Sorry, that 3 is 2 plus 1. 5 would be 3 plus 2. And then this 7 would be 4 plus 3. So it's a pattern number times pattern number plus the number before. So figure 28 would be figure number times the sum of figure number plus the figure before. Okay, so this is the pattern that is observed from here, which takes some steps to derive. Not the easiest type of pattern question. Only 2 marks. So from here you get 1540. Okay, so answer 1540. This is not a common pattern question. It's considered on the harder side lah. Okay, then that's all for this paper. This is Henry Park 2025 Prelim Paper 2.